From a Rocky Mountain high to a cowbell cacophony, Coach Corso's 400th headgear on one end and a 37-year-old Coach Arnett's first SEC game on this end. Folks, you want loud? We've got loud. You want to know what home field advantage feels like, what it looks like, what it means to play in front of this crowd? Mississippi State fans are pushing the limits of ring responsibly. This is the incomparable atmosphere of Starkville as we welcome you to ESPN College Football, presented by Zales. It is the start of the SEC schedule for number 14 LSU on the road, facing the Bulldogs for an 11 a.m. local kickoff. And Katie George, that comes with early morning unique challenges.
Yeah, Tess, Brian Kelly has some concerns about the early start in this hostile environment, so he's taken some steps to make sure his team is awake and ready for this game. Instead of a quiet, normal breakfast, players were greeted with blaring music at pregame meal. Then the team stopped halfway through their hour-long drive to Starkville at a car dealership. Kelly said he didn't want guys falling asleep on the ride in, so they made a 15-minute pit stop. Players got off the buses, went through stretches, did a little walkthrough to get their blood flowing. The last 30 minutes of the drive had nonstop music. Kelly said usually you're telling guys not to turn it up too soon before games. Now we're telling our players you must turn it up immediately, Tess.
How about that access? 9:20 in the morning, and we got crews out at car dealerships a half an hour away. Glad you're with us to start your college football Saturday. Joe Tessitore, as always, with my partner, Jesse Palmer. And Jess, listen, there are far bigger stadiums in the SEC.
Oh, yeah?
But pound for pound, this place roars like none other.
Yep.
It is unbelievable, and you have firsthand knowledge of how tricky a spot it is.
Breaking out in hives. I feel like I have PTSD standing here because once upon a time back in 2000, I was quarterbacking the Florida Gators, and we came into Starkville. We were the number 3 team in the country. A few hours later, we left with our first loss of the season, and Joe, we got beat on the field.
Yep.
But we were not ready for this environment. We were not ready for this atmosphere. To call this place hostile, Joe, that's an understatement. It was the cowbell. It was so loud. There was only 43,000 people at the stadium that day. We might as well have been playing in Tiger Stadium. It felt like 100,000 plus. This crowd really can't impact the game, and LSU has a massive challenge today.
Mississippi State won the toss. They elect to receive. So that means we get the record-setting quarterback, Will Rogers, but Jesse in a new offense. So his numbers aren't the same as what we've been used to for years.
That's right. His career has been nothing short of prolific at Mississippi State, but he is playing in a new offensive system under new offensive coordinator Kevin Barbay, and they're running the ball a lot more. There's a lot of new schemes and pass protection with the route concept. So this is only his 3rd game in it. He's learning on the fly. They only threw the ball 17 times last week to beat Arizona, but Joe, you get the feeling to win this one against LSU, they're going to need a bigger workload out of Rogers.
Woody Marks, the senior running back who's close to becoming a record setter. He's 1 catch away from becoming the all-time receiving leader in Mississippi State as they go to Justin Robinson, the big 6'4", 220-pound target. Impact players brought to you by Dodge Pretzels.
Well, Woody Marks and Tulu Griffin are the 2 most dynamic players on offense for the Bulldogs. They've got to touch it early and often. And Harold Perkins Jr. is a linebacker at LSU. They're kind of playing with where he lines up, but he's so fast. They need to get him around the ball.
Here is Marks, as he was patiently waiting on that left side, but tackled by Whit Weeks right at the line of scrimmage. Mentioned Kevin Barbay, the new offensive coordinator. He was the OC at App State last year when they beat A&M. Remember, they put 61 points up on UNC.
And they ran the football 52 times in that win against Texas A&M. Kevin Barbay wants to run the football, and that ideology really blends well with head coach Zach Arnett and what he wants to do.
Rogers being chased on 2nd and 10. And he just has to throw it away. It was Savion Jones who was bringing the pressure against Will Rogers.
All right, so here's a situation now on 3rd down. We talked about Harold Perkins Jr. being an impact player for LSU. His pass rushing ability has to show up for the Tigers. Last year led them with 7.5 sacks. He's playing out in the slot on 1st and 2nd down, but they're going to put him close to the line of scrimmage and let him get after Will Rogers. You see, last year he was rushing the passer a lot more than this season. They want to get him more involved in downs like this.
See him on the edge, bottom of your screen, 3rd and 10. He's coming around the right tackle, but Rogers able to get rid of it, incomplete. It was far off to the side. As you see, just a little something extra, and a flag comes in as that was Cam Jones and Harold Perkins barking at each other.
Result of play is an incomplete pass. After the play, personal foul. Offense, number 58. Personal foul. Defense, number 4. Those fouls offset. It's 4th down.
Well, you can see Perkins coming off the right side, and it's smart to have him come off the right side, especially when you have a right-handed quarterback like Will Rogers, because even though he doesn't get there, Will Rogers can see number 4 in his peripheral, and you see there the extracurricular activity, blow for blow early in this one.
So Keelan Crimmins on to punt. Greg Clayton back deep for the Tigers. Clayton with the fair catch around the 17-yard line. Jaden Daniels, of course, the second-year starter at LSU. So much hype was built into this 2023 season. He was named first-team preseason All-SEC by the media and the coaches.
Yeah, and Joe, he's one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the country. That's why he's in the Heisman discussion. He can hurt you throwing the football. He's very accurate, but what makes him unique is running the ball on designed runs, on scrambles, and it was his legs, Joe, that was a huge difference in this game last year against Mississippi State.
Speaking of running the ball, it's been running back by committee for the talented Tigers backfield. Logan Diggs gets the start today, the transfer from Notre Dame. A lot of movement up front, especially on that left side of the offensive line.
12-start offense. The entire line move before the center snap the ball. 5-yard penalty. It remains 1st down.
See what he said there, the entire line moved before the snap. We were talking about the cowbell, Joe. That is a real thing. You know, not to bring back bad memories for myself, but we got sacked 7 times back in 2000. It was hard for anybody to hear the snap.
So the first impact already made, and a 1st and 15 before LSU's first offensive play. Daniels is going to pull. And pushing him out was Buki Watson, who was second in the SEC in tackles a year ago.
Now, this is going to be a big key for Mississippi State, is trying to control when Jaden Daniels runs the football. And there's going to be designed runs like that when you've got guys like Watson with his speed that maybe can go sideline to sideline, but it's in the passing situations. D coordinator Matt Brock knows they've got to stay in their rush lanes, trying to contain Jaden Daniels. This is a defense that loves to blitz, but you can't get out of control because he will hurt you. If he sees an opening, especially in the middle of the field, he is going to take off.
Matt Brock, of course, stepping in. He was Zach Arnett's right-hand man for many years here. 2nd and 10, Daniels over the middle, just hooking it up as he's able to get Logan Diggs out of the backfield. It'll be 3rd down and short.
A nice job by LSU, kind of getting some of that yardage back here early after having the penalty on 1st down, making this 3rd down manageable. But here comes the noise, and this is where communication is key.
3rd and 2. Daniels to pass on 3rd and 2. Looking for something. Trying to extend the play, being chased, and is able to connect well with Diggs. And Diggs has it out past the 40-yard line. So that is exactly what Jaden Daniels can do. Get you out of trouble, extend the play, and find something.
Well, it looked like he may have had Malik Neighbors here open late on the drag route right there. You see Neighbors put his hand up. He didn't like it, and this is what Jaden Daniels does. He just extends the play. If you don't keep him caged up inside, he finds a throw, and all of a sudden it's a new set of downs. And
it's 16 yards to Diggs. 5th year starting overall. 46 games of starting experience now for Daniels. Pulls it out from Diggs again. Flag is down as he made his way to the 48-yard line. Watson again with the tackle.
They're going to get Miles Frazier for holding up front.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 94. The 15-yard penalty is added to the end of the run and includes an automatic 1st down.
That's Jaden Crumity and number 94 working in the middle. I thought number 70 was holding him right here, but you see the face mask there on Logan Diggs. Yeah, that's a good call by the referee and a first down here for LSU.
John Emery, who didn't play the first 2 games, is now in at running back. Number 4, the senior, had 6 touchdowns a year ago. Looks Emery's way, get him into space, trying to get to the edge. Excellent pursuit overall by that defensive front. It was Nicholson, the corner, who cleaned it up, but Jet Johnson and the rest were down the line.
Seeing Emery in the lineup here for LSU, he was the number 1 rated running back coming out of high school back in 2019. He's missed time because of injuries and academics, but they want to get him going. He's got talent running the ball, but he can catch it too. He's a big weapon in this offense.
That was a loss of 3. Daniels on 2nd and 13 goes underneath the Mac Markway, the freshman tight end. By the way, Mason Taylor, the excellent tight end, now a sophomore, been dealing with an ankle injury all week long.
Yeah, and that's a big loss for LSU because of situations like this on 3rd down. Because of his size and speed, he's been a matchup problem in situations like this. So where does Jaden Daniels feel comfortable working here? He's got Malik Neighbors in the slot out to his right. That's generally the guy in situations like this he likes to look for.
Third down and 8. Here comes pressure on Daniels right in his face as he gets rid of it about a yard short of that line to gain connecting with Malik Neighbors.
Well, they're just bringing a lot of heat right up the middle here. A lot of extra bodies at the point of attack. Jaden Daniels is hot. He's got to get rid of this throw quickly. Really nice poise finding the open man.
4th down and 1. As you see, there was a substitution. Brian Kelly a little frustrated with the freshman tight end, Markway. And with that, they're going to call a timeout. So a miscommunication with the tight end running onto the field. It'll be a 4th down when we come back to Stark Vegas. Thrilled you're with us watching the SEC on ESPN. 4th down, Jesse.
And you'll remember in the Florida State game a few weeks back, they got stuffed on 4th and 1 twice in the first half. This has been a little bit of an area of concern early this year for LSU.
And 61,000 cowbells roaring early against Brian Kelly's offense. They make the shift, come with a tight alignment. They go with the tap pass to Neighbors, and it works. Well blocked, and Malik Neighbors is able to move the sticks.
Really nice job. Chris Hilton Jr., the receiver, number 17 here. He does a nice job getting a little kick out on a DB, and that opens up the lane for Neighbors. A nice wrinkle there from Mike Denbrock, something that Mississippi State has not yet seen on film this year in that situation.
Well done by Chris Hilton. Daniels on 1st down, going to quickly get it out right back to Neighbors as he is able to drive towards the stick.
It's a good drive here in the opening possession for LSU, and for Daniels, just taking what the defense gives you, right? This Mississippi State defense, their corners like to play soft, so they'll give you those 5-6 yards completions if you can be patient enough, and so far on this drive, number 5 for LSU has done that.
Jaden Daniels 7 for 7 to open things up here. 10th play of the drive. Remember, it started at the 12-yard line after that 5-yard penalty. Empty look here as Diggs motion out at 2nd and 1. Back under the middle for a 1st down to Chris Hilton. Daniels looks right, saw Diggs, comes back to Hilton. Another 1st down LSU.
You get the sense, Joe, that Mississippi State defensively, someone has to just step up here and make a play, right? Backs against the wall. This is not an easy place to throw if you're LSU. So a lot of the coverages they like to play on defense, they've got their eyes on the quarterback, and they've got a lot of speed on the back end to break on these passes.
1st and goal at the 10-yard line. Daniels gets it over the middle of the Neighbors again as he is ridden down by Nicholson.
It's a nice job that time by Nicholson playing high. They were trying to run underneath with Neighbors, and he just sort of closed down on him and made a nice tackle. You want to tackle the catch. You see Neighbors exiting the game a little gingerly. That's a really nice job defensively by Mississippi State.
Diggs on 2nd and goal, as it's going to be 3rd down from about the 2-yard line. 3rd and goal headed their way as the bells ring louder.
They're going hurry up on LSU. That zone read play is something they may go right back to here.
Diggs tries to go up and over, and they're coming in with the mark just short.
Jaden Crumedy did an outstanding job up front for Mississippi State, completely collapsing the line of scrimmage and making this difficult. He created a pile, which was massive. And now here we go. You've seen this before from LSU, right? Week 1. What do they do down here by the goal line? This is a place, obviously, Jaden Daniels' legs are a huge factor.
Remember the opening drive against Florida State. It was a 4th down sack. 4th and goal here. Flag comes down as Diggs pushed ahead. And it looks like this is against LSU.
False start, offense number 66. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
When we talk about the cowbell, there's been a few false start penalties here for LSU on the drive. Will Campbell just couldn't hold his water, just flinched a little bit early, and that's a great job by Mississippi State. After allowing all those yards, hey, you bend, you don't break. You give up a field goal here, you feel like that's a win. Let's get the ball back to Will Rogers, and let's go to work.
Damian Ramos comes in after the penalty for the short field goal attempt. Just a 23-yarder to open up this game. And he's able to put it through. Those cowbells count for something. They pushed back the offense. Held to 3 are the Tigers. You know it well.
Yeah, watching this will be tough. But, you know, we came into this game again, 3 in the nation. We were feeling good about ourselves. We never prepared for the noise of what we were going to see, and we were under duress all game long. Taking safeties is never fun. Getting a high ankle sprain in the process makes it worse. You're no longer mobile at all, and we just we were never able to get into a rhythm, Joe, in that game. And this is a place that I don't care who you are. When you come in, you've got to be mentally locked and loaded, ready to go.
Tulu Griffin is a dangerous return man. See what he can offer up here. Patiently waiting for a block and then making the most of it is Griffin. A good return for Mississippi State.
Cash Jesse, just a quick update. Malik Neighbors, who had 4 catches on LSU's opening drive, is dealing with a right shoulder injury. He came off to the sidelines. Athletic trainers were assessing it, working on it. He was writhing in pain. He's on the bench right now with the wide receivers, still trying to work through some of that pain, but something to keep an eye on as we move forward this afternoon, Tess.
Yeah, Katie's such a big part of their success on offense. A 46-yard return from Tulu Griffin. So this drive will start at the Mississippi State 48-yard line. Big Mason Smith opposite the playmakers on Mississippi State, including Will Rogers. Rogers sprint left, being chased down, being taken down by Jones.
How about that athleticism by Savion Jones at 280 pounds? He's working against the true freshman Malik Ellis at tight end here, and kind of dips inside, and then you see the speed and the ability to get outside and put pressure on Will Rogers. The pass rush has been a bit of an issue early this year, honestly, Joe, for LSU. That's only their 2nd sack on the season. They need more of this, but they've got some matchups up front that I think LSU really is looking forward to taking advantage of.
So now a 2nd and 17 for Rogers to deal with. It'll be 3rd and long, and on 3rd and long, watch out for Harold Perkins coming off the edge.
Yeah, just a miscommunication. Again, this is a brand new offense, right? Kevin Barbay, and it's not just for the quarterback, but it's for wide receivers too. And this is only their 3rd game. You got to remember, every time they take the field, they're learning something new, and you see a little bit of those issues now showing up here early in this one.
Third and 17. He was trying to get it to Woody Marks. Nothing was going to happen there, no matter. And it is a struggle early on for this Mississippi State offense.
But again, it's Perkins and just his presence off the right side of the line of scrimmage working against Jones. Just the speed forces Rodgers to have to step up in the pocket, and it totally puts him off of rhythm. Watch this. As a right-handed quarterback, you see this, you feel it. And all of a sudden, your feet kind of get off base. You don't have your accuracy. Your clock, it quickens up. Doesn't have a sack in this game, but number 4 has already made an impact for LSU.
Yeah, second time Crimmins is right back out there to punt away. Running up to field, it is Clayton. Whole lot of traffic on that short punt. Mississippi State just 5 yards of offense on this beautiful day on a beautiful campus here in Starkville. "46 games now started for Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix, the leader among active quarterbacks at 49. By the way, Bo Nix next week against Coach Prime.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be big. I'll tell you what's impressive about Jaden Daniels. 46 starts, just the toughness, right? And he's taking big shots week in, week out. To not miss time, that's impressive.
Packed on a little bit of weight to help out. Daniels as wide open as Neighbors. Remember, he was favoring a shoulder moments ago, right back into the game, and a good start to this drive for LSU. Malik Neighbors.
It's a nice design by Mike Denbrock in the route concept. You've got 2 guys on the outside clearing out. You see that? And that opens up green grass for Neighbors to run into. That's just easy pitch and catch.
32-yard reception. And now Diggs gets the work. And this is exactly what Diggs can do, the yards after contact, and give them a physical presence.
Yeah, listen, for years, this has been a running back by committee, right? And for the last 3 years, they've had big guys, physical, they can get you 3, 4, 5 yards. But the question is, who can be a game breaker? When you think back to Darius Geis, Leonard Fournette, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they used to have home run hitters, and they're hoping Logan Diggs can be a little bit of that this year.
Second and 2. And quick to the outside to Chris Hilton. And what a good start for Jaden Daniels here on the road with the early kickoff. He is now 11 for 11 to start the game.
Seems like he's really dialed in. And tell you, this is not an easy defense to prepare for. This 3-3-5 scheme of Zach Arnett and Matt Brock, you don't see a lot of it. It's become sort of a new in vogue defense to stop spread offenses. They're very good at disguising things, but so far, number 5 from LSU, you could tell he had a good week of practice. He came into this one sharp.
Daniels on first down. Gonna take a shot to the end zone, and Neighbors comes up with it. Malik Neighbors, outstanding touchdown catch from Jaden Daniels, who's a perfect 12 for 12 to start the game.
And Jaden Daniels had the matchup he wanted. He had Neighbors, his best receiver, against the safety in Hunter Washington on the fade throw. This is a throw they haven't hit a bunch of early this season, but they hit that exact same play in this game last year on a 4th and 3 situation. Neighbors showing you his suddenness, his ability to separate. That's why Daniels has so much faith and confidence in him. And good news for the LSU offense, knowing that number 8 at receiver, he looks pretty healthy.
So much was made with the preparation. That guy right there, Brian Kelly, you see him talking to his big offensive lineman. Charles Turner, the center. said, listen, we got to be ready. We got to fire right from the start. He was concerned about the 1-hour bus drive just to get there. Had them stop at a car dealership, played loud music. They are firing early. This offense is in gear right away, and you saw it with the 26-yard touchdown pass. Daniels to Neighbors.
Well, it's a nice job by Jaden Daniels on that last play. We talked about how good he's been in the pre-snap. He's looking at safeties. He's seeing the rocking and rolling, and he knows outside, I've got my best receiver against the safety on a fade route with nobody on the outside. Perfectly placed throw. A great decision, getting it out early. You just see the burst that Neighbors has. It's not fair for any safety to have to cover him a one-on-one like that. Lots of weapons in this offense, Katie, and early, Jaden Daniels looking good.
You know, Jesse, the NFL feedback Jaden Daniels received in January was hesitant, and it fueled him this offseason. Daniel says, if you watch the tape this year, I'm standing in there giving my guys a shot, letting them get open, getting through my progressions, and making decisive decisions, having a pocket presence. He said last year, yeah, I'll admit it, I was quick to take off and run it before allowing a play to develop. He feels like his pocket presence has improved, as has his decision making.
Brian Kelly said he wants to see him play with a sense of urgency. That is what he has done here with this early kickoff in Starkville. 10-zip LSU. Remember, the offense was, and I know the level of competition last week in beating Grambling, but still, when you score on 10 consecutive drives, I don't care who you're playing. Ball's not hitting the ground.
It's hard to do that in 7-on-7 in practice.
Tonight on ESPN, we have 2 games of action for you. At 7 Eastern, it is that Vols offense. Number 11, Tennessee, at the Swamp, the rivalry game against Florida. And then it is Coach Prime. 10 o'clock Eastern, Colorado State. Lighting a fire with some of the talk this week. And number 18, CU.
Man, and like, how many more snaps can Travis Hunter play this year? You talk about the Prime effect, what he's been able to do, and yeah, it's a lot more talent and recruiting, but to me, it's just the attitude this team has and their expectation every time they take the field.
Whistles come in before Mississippi State's offense, as LSU will call a timeout. Today's weekend lineup is brought to you by Wendy's Beef. As we talked about, 2 of the games coming your way tonight. Another full day of action. Alabama is back to the field on ABC. A trip down to Tampa.
Tyler Buckner getting the start.
That's right.
For Alabama,
what do you make of it?
Well, you know, obviously Jalen Monroe had some struggles in their loss against Texas last week, and Buckner, a guy that knows Tommy Rees's offense. Of course, they both came from Notre Dame. I think everybody expects Alabama to roll in that game, but I think more than anything, you're just looking for efficiency out of the Tide, especially in the passing game.
Mississippi State is looking for some efficiency. Their first play of the game went for 12 yards, but since then, they have 6 plays and -7 yards.
Joe, I think they got to get number 7 and number 5 to football as many ways as possible right now.
Right now, Woody Marks, number 7, is flanking the side of Rogers as he gets the call here, and there is nothing to find against the interior of that offensive line. Yeah. Whit Weeks and the rest of them with the run fit.
And this LSU defense, they are big, they are physical, and they've got a lot of matchups that they can win just because of how long they are. Traditionally, very hard to run in between the tackles when you're playing against LSU. So a huge challenge for this Mississippi State offense.
Rogers being chased by Perkins, as coming back to the ball was Robinson, and they are going to mark him where it'll be a 3rd down and 2.
Well, there's a play you didn't see a lot in Mike Leach's air raid offense, right? A play action fake and a bootleg, and it totally tricked Harold Perkins, who was coming on the blitz that time. They had the perfect play call, now setting up 3rd and short.
Review.
Jason Autry heads up this SEC crew as the play is officially under review. That catch on the sideline by Robinson. Robinson was the MVP of their bowl win a year ago.
Yeah, he's a big guy, 6'4", does a nice job here getting low to the ground. Now, he has to have an established, complete, and maintain complete and continuous control. The ball's allowed to touch the ground, but it can't help him make the catch. So that's the question referees are going to be looking at here. There the ball hits the ground, it looks like, but do you see any movement in the ball after he has it? Is there any wiggle? And of course, you need indisputable video evidence to overturn the ruling on the field, which was in fact a catch. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I mean, the ground can't help you. You must have firm control if you see any movement at all at that point. So does he have firm control at that point? It's very questionable, and thus why they're reviewing it. To my belief, he does not have established firm control before the ball hits the ground. I believe that they will review this and overturn it as an incomplete pass.
It is a big play call, too, in this game at a time where Mississippi State offensively is trying to create some momentum here. 3rd and 1 is a lot different than 3rd and 10 with Harold Perkins Jr. out there.
Justin Robinson made the effort on that ball. Will Rogers has been constantly trying to fight for survival and give his team a chance. On the field, it was ruled a 9-yard reception, which would make a 3rd and 1. However, it looks like the ball hit the ground before he had established firm control with his hands. I find it so interesting to see how Will Rogers has approached things with this offense, Jesse. Young man who thinks like a coach. They always talk about that, the son of a coach, and such a difference going from the air raid to this system.
After video review, the ruling is an incomplete pass. The receiver did not have firm control prior to the ball touching the ground. It'll be Mississippi State's ball, 3rd down at the 25-yard line.
So they will walk that back, and it'll be a 3rd down and 10. And that is the spot where LSU has gotten off on Will Rogers.
So if you're Kevin Barbay now, the offensive coordinator for Mississippi State, you've got to have a plan for Harold Perkins Jr. rushing off the edge. This time, he's lined up on the left side against Petravius Johnson one-on-one. They've got the running back up that way as well. But you need to have a plan for number 4 and his speed.
Against the left tackle, locked up, tried to set up the screen to Woody Marks, and that ball was thrown too high. So they're going to be punting again, and the offense just can't find itself here.
Well, I like the idea on the play call because you're trying to throw the screen behind Perkins coming this way and just try to get him in behind. They just couldn't link up for it right here. As a quarterback, you're holding it to the last possible second. I've seen a few throws get away from Will Rogers early. That's one he'd like to have back because Marks may have been able to go get it first had he caught that one.
Andrew Osteen on to punt for Mississippi State. See if Clayton gets a chance for a return, as this will be a fair catch at the 37-yard line. Want to remind you, tomorrow morning, Sunday NFL Countdown. It is life after Aaron Rodgers this season for the Jets. What does that mean? Plus, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, we will hear from them. That's 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. How about how the whole sports universe on Monday just said, what did I just see?
It was unbelievable. It was crazy. Aaron Rodgers and all the buildup leading into that, 4 snaps into the game, lost for the season. What does that mean to what looks like a very talented New York Jets team this year? But that whole game, start to finish, that was like a Hollywood movie script.
Wasn't it?
It was amazing. Defense
did their job. Jaden Daniels has been a perfect 12 for 12. Do we hear 13? Here's Williams. Williams breaks the tackle, and he's out to midfield. Nice play by Josh Williams to go ahead for 13 yards as he got through Hunter Washington.
It's another good decision. Linebackers are going to be dropping out here, playing a big zone. So for Daniels, he's just got his eyes downfield, nothing there vertically. All right, where's my check down? Showing the poise of a guy that started 46 games in his career.
The record is 17 for 17 in LSU history. Of course, it was Joe Burrow in 2019. Daniels cuts back against the grain and finds just enough of something, but this great start for Jaden Daniels, Jesse. It is impressive.
Really is. That time there, Jaden Crumedy did a nice job running out with him. But you see this here, 13 consecutive completions to start the game. He's just dialed in early, doing a nice job taking what the defense gives him.
And he stayed perfect here on 2nd and 6, and there is the first. incompletion of the afternoon.
Well, that's big because we talked about this 3-3-5 scheme. They do a good job disguising blitzes. They bring it early and often. They can bring it from all over the field. This time it's Watson coming up the middle. You've got Russell coming off the edge, and that time they were able to fool the protection. Let's see if they can do it again here on third down.
Third and 6, four-man rush, hooks up over the middle. Thomas with one little juke move and then a sprint ahead for a first down, Tigers.
Well, again, Mississippi State brings the blitz with Johnson and just poised as normal, very calm under pressure. There's Daniels just looking over the middle of the field. He finds a 6'4" target. And Thomas Jr., who's abnormally quick for a guy that tall, right, Joe? He's not a long strider. He's a guy that's really explosive with short area quickness.
6'4" receiver, Brian Thomas. Quarterback run. Daniels wasn't blocked up the way he wanted it to be, so he's taken down after maybe just a couple yards. Nathan Pickering with the tackle. Look at this time of possession here, because we were under 30 seconds to play in this first quarter. Quick to the outside. Neighbors wrapped up immediately at the 29-yard line. As that was Washington in on the play. Excuse me, Brian Thomas with the reception there as it goes for 5 yards and another third down, 3rd and 3. John Emery in the game at running back. And that'll be the end of the first quarter. Jaden Daniels, 15 of 16 passing. And the touchdown pass, a 10-0 lead for LSU.
Coach Kelly, you wanted a fast start and you got it. How would you assess your team's play through one?
Yeah, we've got off to a good start. Obviously, the penalty there on third down, forces us to kick a field goal or fourth down, and that was unfortunate. I mean, could go either way. But the guys are playing well. They got off to a good start. It's an early start. You really want them to get in here and quiet this crowd down. It's a sellout, but off to a good start. We got to keep playing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was his point of emphasis this week, getting off to a fast start, and they have. And now facing a 3rd and 3 to start this second quarter. Pulls it. Daniels taken down. They were right on top of it to begin. Jet Johnson was there. Deontay Anderson was there. And Daniels was retreating.
You cannot defend the zone read any better. Someone's got to come inside and crash, and someone's got to replace him, and that's Johnson, number 44. The SEC's leading tackler a year ago, knowing where the ball's going to be and anticipating it.
4th down and 7 from the 33-yard line. Here's Daniels on 4th down. Gonna launch it to the end zone. Neighbors holds it in again. Malik Neighbors, my oh my. How about Jaden Daniels and this Tigers offense roaring?
Jaden Daniels found the exact same matchup that he found earlier in the first quarter when he threw a touchdown to Neighbors. One-on-one against Hunter Washington, the Florida State transfer safety in the slot. On a critical down and distance, that's the guy Daniels likes to go to, and they have burned the Bulldogs twice on the exact same play.
Jaden Daniels has 1 incompletion. 16 times he is connected for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns now.
Well, Matt Brock, defensive coordinator, is wanting to be aggressive in this situation, play man coverage, but that guy versus a safety, It's not a good matchup if you're Mississippi State. LSU does a great job picking up the blitz on the inside, and it's just too easy. There's no contact. You never reroutes them. It's a perfect throw, and you see Jaden Daniels staying in the pocket and taking a big shot. Joe, that extra 15 pounds you were talking about that he added in the offseason comes in handy on a play like that. It makes you feel a lot more comfortable staying in the pocket to deliver a strike. I think LSU's booth liked it.
Yeah, it's Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator, who has such faith in Jaden Daniels. And Malik Neighbors, he's been targeted 7 times. Jesse's got 7 catches for 113 yards and now 2 touchdowns. And that after the report that we got from Katie saying that he was favoring his shoulder. (17-zip) LSU as we say good afternoon for the first time today to Matt Perry.
Gentlemen, good afternoon. I've got your AT&T 5G, keeping fans connected with our multi-view. A look at what's going on around the country. Kansas State, Missouri locked in a good one on SEC Network, ESPN2, ODU up early on Wake Forest, and Florida State and Boston College. Let's go back to the Spro Bros and have them talk about their coffee from this morning.
I mean, you got to get a Saturday started, Matt, with a good Spro.
Yeah, you know, back in the day with Matt and the guys in the studio, it was a lot of Spro and a lot of flick chips.
Mm-hmm. Rogers, as he connects with Marks out of the backfield, and Perkins is right on top of it.
So they're playing Perkins out in the slot a little bit more now, Joe, for things like this. In modern spread offense, you're seeing so many bubbles and tunnel screens and swing passes to running backs. They're getting their best player defensively close to the football to take those plays away. You can basically scrap all the quick perimeter game you have in your playbook when you're playing against LSU with number 4 out in the nickel position.
Not the way Woody Marks wants to do with a loss of 1, but that did set the records. That is incomplete. They tried to get it to Griffin. So Woody Marks is the all-time leader in Mississippi State receptions, but this offense just cannot find themselves.
And Joe, they only had 10 plays coming into this drive here. And you start to worry now, if they keep going 3 and out, what does that mean for their defense later in the game? They're going to play a lot of snaps. They got to get this guy right here, number 7, who just broke the record in this game early. The most career receptions in Mississippi State history. They've got to get him going. This is going to be a long one.
3rd and 11. Just look for number 4. Here he comes against the left tackle. This time they go with the shallow cross to Griffin. And Griffin trying to split defenders before he is driven back by Greg Penn. And a flag comes out. But the pursuit of this LSU defense time and again. Griffin went ahead for 8 yards.
There is no foul for offensive pass interference. The ball was first touched behind the line of scrimmage. 4th down.
So there is no penalty.
Just no rhythm offensively right now for Kevin Barbay and the offense. This is something they've got to find. They've run only 13 plays. Joe, they have only 12 total yards, and now they're getting set to give the ball back. Or looks like on 4th down here.
Jesse.
Yeah, Rogers on the field. I think Zach Arnett's deciding, look, we need a momentum shifter right now.
This is from their own 32.
Wow.
This is from their own 32-yard line.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures, but you wonder if this is too early.
4th down as the whistles blow as Rogers was set to snap it. Flag comes in.
Timeout was called by Mississippi State. This is their first of the half.
So we're going to take a break with them as the offense stayed on the field from their own 32-yard line, trailing by 17. We'll take a quick break.
Going back to that last completion, you see Kevin Barbay changing up some of his protection schemes. This time he had Woody Marks come off, and he's just going to chip block on the edge to try and give Will Rogers a little bit more time to get rid of this football. It's a nice adjustment in game. They're going to have to do more of that as this game goes on.
13 plays for 12 total yards for Mississippi State. And after the timeout, they do decide to punt away as Craig Clayton stands back for the Crimmins kick.
I agree with that decision too, Joe. It just felt a little too early to take that risk.
Fair catch near the 20. Let's go back to Mr. Barry.
All right, Tess, a game you know well, the red bandana game at Boston College. Boston College 10-7 lead in the second to Jaheim Bell from Jordan Travis. This one now tied 10 apiece, perhaps a little closer than people thought in the second quarter on ABC.
And listen, Matt, we know the reason why. That is the famed red bandana game at Boston College, named in honor and played in honor of the 9/11 hero Wells Crowther. And you know, my son will tell you he was in that locker room for 4 years. When Mrs. Crowther comes in to tell the boys it's time to go, you go. They will play out of their mind as hard as they can.
Totally
Red
different
bandana.
energy.
It really is. So they're hanging with Florida State a bit now. John Emery, as he gets into the game. Remember, didn't play the first 2 games. Been in college football a long time. Just he was a freshman on the national title team.
No, and he's a guy that's got a lot of talent. We talked about it. So highly recruited coming out of high school, and he's a guy that they want to get lathered up in this one because they're going to need him this year.
Goes for 3 yards, says Emery. Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors, they have been the story so far in this first half. Freshman tight end was in motion there going upfield as Daniels drives the ball and gets it complete to Neighbors again.
Well, it's a really nice job up front in protection. Mississippi State's trying to stunt, and LSU's not giving up anything. They're giving Jaden Daniels tons of time to survey the field. You know, you go back and you watch them play Florida State week 1 against Jared Verse and Patrick Payton, one of the best pass rush tandems. They look pretty good, Joe.
Emery couldn't break free of Jet Johnson. Jet Johnson, who led the SEC in tackles a year ago.
This is an offensive line that they want to really be able to rely on heavily this year. And you get the feeling if they can just stay healthy, they've got a chance. You know, it's only the first time since 2014 the same 5 guys have started the first 2 games of a season for LSU. They've got a lot of talent, a lot of highly recruited guys. With the skill they've got at running back, receiver, and quarterback, that's big.
Here's the quick game now. Anderson, and he's wrapped up, tries to spin free, but it was DeCarlos Nicholson who was the first to get right to him. And then Russell cleaned it up, and now a 3rd down opportunity for this defense.
One of the things I love about this defense is they play with great effort, and their cornerbacks are not afraid to mix it up and try to get involved. Everybody running to the football. It starts with Nicholson. Then you see the pursuit coming back from the inside, setting up 3rd and long.
Remember, Mason Taylor not in action, the star tight end. That was Mac Markway, the true freshman tight end who was trying to get in space for that block. 3rd down and 9. Daniels, shallow cross, and Neighbors working his way upfield. He is unstoppable today.
I think Matt Brock and Mississippi State need to change some stuff up in coverage because on 3rd down, they're just dropping way too many guys deep, and it's just opening up these easy short throws on the drag routes on 3rd down. They've got to have bodies in the middle of the field because it's just too easy at this point for Jaden Daniels.
Daniels, pitch and catch. Brian Thomas. It's the 4th straight drive into Mississippi State territory for LSU. Neighbors has 140 receiving yards on 9 catches.
We've got 10 minutes to go in this second quarter.
He has 9 catches for 140 and 2 touchdowns.
No wonder he's over there getting some wind. He's had a day.
Play action. Daniels, pressure up the middle, and they take him down. As it was Deontay Anderson with the sack of Jaden Daniels, their first of the day.
You're going to see a blitz from the linebacker position, and then inside Anderson is just playing the nose coming this way. So you got all this action, and it's forcing Jaden Daniels off his mark, and finally, Mississippi State able to get home and create a negative play.
Let the bells ring, they say here in Starkville. 3rd and 13. On 3rd down, Daniels has been superb. And he's going to use a timeout here. And we will take the break as LSU has exhausted all 3 timeouts with a 17-zip lead. She's a graduate of Mississippi State. And she's here ringing that cowbell loudly on third down right now. Jaden Daniels in the backfield with Logan Diggs. Third down and 13. Daniels, plenty of time. And now is going to tuck and run. He needs 13. He turns the corner and he strides forward. A flag is down. Back at the 41-yard line. They may walk this back.
Holding. Offense, number 53. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeats third down.
Well, Lance Hurd's a true freshman and a highly recruited one at 6'6", 340 pounds. He's out here working one-on-one against Crumedy, who's had a huge game for Mississippi State so far, and he can't hold up. It was a phenomenal job by Daniels running away from the spy to get positive yardage, but that was a play Mississippi State needed so badly on defense. They got to turn the tide and change the momentum in this game. Give their offense better field position to get something going.
And big 53, Lance Hurd. By the way, he's a rising star, the true freshman. He's now at right tackle as Emory Jones, typical starter, kicks in the right guard. They feel very confident about the youth and the future of this offensive line. But it's a 3rd and 23 for Daniels. And he is brought down by Crumedy that time. Second sack for State.
Crumedy again, and he's just going to bowl right through Emory Jones. They're running a stun up front. He's just going to plow. Here's Crumedy, work inside. He blows the right guard up. Look at the strength. He's trying to pick for the D tackle that's swinging around the outside. He's made a lot of plays. He's the one player up front for Mississippi State that LSU just has not had an answer for.
Veteran Jay Bramlett on to punt. Didn't have to punt last week with all the offensive success. Against Florida State week 1, he was very, very good. He's got a dangerous return man opposite him in Thomas, who had a 63-yard touchdown return against Georgia. But with a good punt, it's the fair catch near the 25-yard line.
So Mississippi State's got to get Woody Marks the football at running back. To me, he's one of the best in the country that not a lot of people really know about. When you watched him early this year, he's showing you all the traits you got to have. He's got great vision. Here's a zone play against Arizona. Should go left. He sees the cutback ability. He's been great in the open field. But we know, having played in an air raid offense, he also can hurt you catching the football. Here on a screen, you're negotiating the defensive tackle, getting out with 2 offensive linemen, and again in the open field, difficult to bring down. But this is what I love, pass protection, and not just knocking guys down, finishing them. He is an exceptional running back. He's versatile, can do all the things. They got to get him going here.
They're going to start this drive with Pittman, but they're going to go with the jet motion with Thomas, as Thomas can't find anything at all. He was brought down by Andre Sam, the transfer from Marshall.
And he is a human missile. You watch him on film. He comes downhill with bad intentions, lots of speed, and he likes to hit. Now, the safeties at LSU have missed some tackles early this year, but they're going 100 miles an hour. You saw an example of that right there.
Second and 8. A-gap pressure on Rogers as he had to get rid of it, but it was nowhere near Roberson.
Well, and it just didn't look like Roberson was expecting that pass. Again, another example in Mississippi State of just quarterback and receiver not being on the same page. It's Whit Weeks coming right up the middle, so Rogers is hot. He's got to get rid of this throw, but you need a little more sense of urgency at wideout to turn around and expect to catch it.
Mississippi State is 0 for on third down, 0 for 4, now facing a 3rd and 8. Rogers taken down yet again. That is Big Makai Wingo. He is always the first name that comes up when you ask about leadership on this defense for Matt House and the Tigers.
Well, there's a lot going on the right side of this line of scrimmage. They're bringing this twisting Perkins inside. There's a blitz. The tackle gets wide, and that allows Mingo to run right through 2 players. Bad job in pass pro. Just all types of discombobulation going on right now for Mississippi State.
Jesse, it's their 4th straight 3 and out. A knuckler is sent downfield as Clayton will call for the fair catch. Mississippi State has 16 plays for 7 total yards. All season long, student sections across the country are competing to be the Taco Bell Live Más Student Section of the Year. You can download the Taco Bell app to learn more. Well, they know how to enjoy themselves down here in Starkville. They've been doing it for the past 24 hours. But the guy who's not enjoying himself among the student body is the quarterback, Will Rogers.
Well, I think part of the thing is Daniels has been in his system for over a year. Will Rogers is in his third game in a new one. But also Daniels is just playing better.
Here is Daniels. Look at the time he has, and he's got a man wide open, and you know who it is. Malik Neighbors is just lighting it up this morning.
This is against D. Cam Richardson. You see the route running by Neighbors here. This is a double move. He's going to run down, act like it's a curl, throttle down. That just gets Richardson to hesitate a moment. That's all Jaden Daniels needed. He got it out early, and another explosive play for the Tigers.
This is one of the most statistically impressive halves of football I've ever seen by a wide receiver. He has 10 catches for 191 yards. We got 5.5 to play before we get it back to the studio in halftime. This is unbelievable stuff by Neighbors. And now Diggs showing his ability.
Yeah, I think moving ahead in this game, if you're defensive coordinator Matt Brock, you got to start giving safety help over to whoever's covering Neighbors, because nobody has an answer, Joe. I mean, this is like video game numbers at this point.
That is Matt Brock and his job, the defensive coordinator for the Bulldogs. 2nd and 3. Diggs straight ahead. There's that pad leverage and that physicality that Brian Kelly wants to see. He was a good running back at Notre Dame. Came to play for his old coach, and he could emerge as the guy, Jesse.
Yeah, he could be a difference maker. He's got a little bit of a burst to him, which is something that I think this backfield needs at LSU, and I love what Mike Denbrock says about him. He's a guy that gives you more than what you blocked for. You know, he just gets those extra yards. Take a look at the comparison here, time of possession and yardage between these two offenses. It's a one-sided story.
1st and goal. Keeps it. Daniels. He's going to be just short as he was cut down as he was making his way to the goal line. That was Corey Ellington who was able to get to Daniels.
I think one thing I've seen with Daniels is I know he's athletic and he likes to run outside. I wish he would take better care of himself, though. He got drilled week 1 against Florida State. I know he's put on an extra 15 pounds, but it is a long season, and they need him if they're going to reach the college football playoff.
2nd and goal. Williams goes straight ahead. He's going to be short. So no gain on the play.
Just another big moment here for Mississippi State on defense. Down 17-0. LSU's going to get it first in the second half. You need to come up with a stop and slow down the bleeding.
But instead, it's more of that. As Josh Williams goes ahead for the 1-yard touchdown. And you are seeing every facet of this LSU offense. As Brian Kelly said, he loved what he saw last week. You know, it was the remedy game after Florida State. You play Grambling. You got an overmatched opponent, but you execute perfectly.
Well, you're right, Joe. I mean, this is a team and an offense that if they play to their standard, they're going to be very, very difficult to stop, as you see Williams going in for the touchdown. But you can even go back, Joe, to week 1 against Florida State. They should have scored 31 points in the first half of that game. They were up and down the field. They were stopping themselves. And so if they come into the ballpark and they bring their A-plus game the way they've done it today against a 3-3-5 scheme in Mississippi State that is not easy to prepare for, you're seeing just how impressive I think LSU's offense can be.
An LSU offense that's still, with over 3 minutes to go before halftime, has 39 plays for 294 yards. One of the finest first half performances by a receiver that you'll ever see. And a big 24-0 lead on the road.
I'm Matt Berry. Coming up on the Lexus Halftime Report, Florida State caught in a tough one on the road against Boston College. Same for Penn State on the road against Illinois. Plus, we'll break down Coach Prime tonight in Colorado and a deep investigation into why Jesse Palmer really left Joey and me in studio to go back to the booth.
Yeah, people need answers to that, Matt. Where the truth lies.
There's too much money in that studio.
Oh, yeah.
Not enough for an extra seat. Too much handsome.
A whole lot of handsome.
Whole lot of handsome in there. Now we got Dan Mullen. You kidding me?
Griffin on the return. Tulu. Gets it to the 28. Katie.
You know, Tess, Roger says the biggest adjustment was memorizing the terminology and longer play calls in this offense. He said in a pro-style offense, the play calls are wordier. There's more shifts, motions. It's more complex. He said he had to study the play calls like he would for a test, reading and repeating the calls over and over again. Jesse, it's one thing to memorize it. It's another to be able to go out and apply it.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Katie. I mean, in this new offense, there's all these new schemes in the run game and pass protection and the route concepts. It's hard enough just to know where to throw the football and where to keep your eyes. It's a whole other thing with respect to the verbiage and the play calls, just to spit it out so you tell everybody else what to do.
There's Marks on the ground. Best play they've had in quite some time, and it comes from Woody Marks as he goes down the sideline for a chunk play that they desperately needed.
And this is what they need. They got to get this guy touches and going. They're running a counter play here to get him to the outside. Justin Robinson at receiver comes up and blocks the safety, and there's the open field running ability, a big reason why this guy leads the SEC in rushing yards.
A 52-yard run. They had 7 yards total offense prior to that 52-yard run. And now a shot to the end zone. And incomplete as Antonio Harmon had a chance at it.
And that's a play Antonio Harmon just has to make. He's out there working against Harold Perkins Jr. I mean, that's a guy that we're used to seeing rush the passer. He's out in coverage, and I know he's fast and he's an athlete, but he doesn't get a lot of reps covering guys. So when you get those matchups like that, you might not get many more in this game. Man, you've got to make those count.
Opportunity for Mississippi State. After the big play by Marks, pressure on Rogers, and he is torn down, and it is Harold Perkins, the All-American.
Well, they're trying to get to Perkins with Nick Jones, the backside guard, and that's just not going to work with his speed coming off the edge. He's coming ripping around the outside. The left guard was the one who came out to try to get him, but you're not going to pull anybody and block the edge with number 4 in his speed. And you're seeing already Matt House, the D coordinator from LSU, he is committing number 4 in the pass rush more than what we saw in the first 2 games.
So Perkins with his first sack of the season. Last year against Mississippi State, he had a sack and a half and 5 tackles. Thomas trying to shake free to the 14-yard line.
But still, Joe, this is easily the best Mississippi State has looked offensively in this game. And you get the feeling now, down 24-0. 4th down, you got to go, and a field goal is not going to do it.
Oh, no.
I mean, here's Zach Arnett. The mindset here is we got to put 7 up on the board before going into halftime.
Fourth down and 4.
You got Harold Perkins. There he is, out in the slot. And they bring Marks, the running back, out there, and that takes Perkins out wide, which tells you this is man coverage.
Look at the versatility of Harold Perkins. You're going to have the best edge rusher who can do that. 4th down and 4, and a timeout is called by Will Rogers. You know, listen, we've made a lot about the start for Will Rogers, but consider everything that's happened here. Of course, the tragic, shocking loss of Coach Leach last December, and the keys to this program handed to a then 36-year-old Zach Arnett, a defensive coach. The air raid for years, so much success with Coach Leach, and he goes out to hire a new play caller.
Yeah.
And in Kevin Barbay goes in a completely different direction, and it comes with so many unique challenges.
Yeah, there's just a lot more volume on offense. Katie earlier was talking about the verbiage and things that Will Rogers had to learn. Last year in the air raid offense, a play call example could be ace 6. That tells everybody on the field what to do. All of a sudden, you know, when I was playing for Spurrier, it sounded like Bandit Right, Blue Slide Steamers, Bopper.
Just in a different accent voice.
When you get to the NFL, it's Lightning 21, Explode to Bunch Right, Y, Peel 322, Y, Stick X Oscar. I mean, it changes and it only gets worse. So there's a lot right now for Will Rogers on his plate. And we mentioned, you got to remember, as prolific as he's been throughout his career, every week is a new learning tool, and he's up against it here today.
Jess, here's 4th and 4. Off the timeout, pressure comes in, gets rid of it, and gets it complete to Tulu Griffin, and he gets the first down by inches. Had to have it, and they get it.
That is a phenomenal job by Rodgers hanging in. He just buys himself enough time with 2 Tigers bearing down on him. Finds Griffin just enough for the first. Joe, that was a play they just absolutely had to have.
So here we are, coming up on a minute to play in this first half. Mississippi State trying desperately to get on the board. Woody Marks put them in position with a 52-yard run. Jet motion. Tulu into the end zone. Tulu Griffin. Prior to that 52-yard run by Woody Marks, they only had 1 first down. Remember, the first play of the game went for 12 yards. And then the offense went to sleep for basically the entire first half until this, Jesse.
Great play call by Barbe. You got a lot of misdirection going on here. They're pulling the guard, the tackle, the tight end, trying to get the defense going this way. You bring the jet back the other way. And look at Marks here at running back number 7. Gets just enough of Perkins to create some space for an All-American kick returner in Griffin, a guy who is so good in the open field, making people miss. This is the whole key for Mississippi State coming back in this one and waking the offense up, Joe. Number 7 and number 5. Those are the guys that can't touch it enough for the Bulldogs if they're going to come back in this game. And we saw them both have a big imprint on that last drive.
Yeah, Woody Marks, now the all-time leader in receptions and a very good running back leading the SEC in rushing. And then Tulu Griffin, just flat out one of the fastest players in the SEC. Those are the game changers. They're going to need explosive plays to get back in this game, and they're going to have to find a way to defense Malik Neighbors. The LSU wide receiver has 10 catches for 188 yards, but finally, the new-look Mississippi State offense finds themselves. There is Neighbors. He has been the star today. On a beautiful but hot and humid day here in Starkville. Today's road test is brought to you by Goodyear, and Neighbors is passing the test, Jesse.
He's been unbelievable. They've lined him up all over the field. You saw him in the slot early on a fake throw for a touchdown. Nice job by Daniels. They go back to the exact same play, the exact same matchup, just the other side of the field, and then they line him outside. Get a little double move action on a cornerback getting behind the defense. He has been unstoppable, and this is a guy that Mississippi State on this drive and moving forward in this game, they have got to get safety help.
LSU's had all-time greats.
Look at these names.
All-time greats. This is the last 20 years, the most receiving yards in a half. He's 11 yards away, but these are all-time.
Like OBJ and Jarvis Landry aren't even on that list. That just tells you the talent they've had.
Josh Williams.
I'm surprised here, Joe, with LSU with the success they've had, that they're not putting their foot on the gas a little bit and trusting Jaden Daniels to lead a 2-minute drive here, even though they don't have any timeouts, put themselves in a position to try to steal at least 3 points here at the half.
All the talk of the early kickoff, the early start, the road adversity. Brian Kelly just beat it in with the messaging all week long, and his team able to respond offensively right from the start with the 11 a.m. local kickoff time. Williams against, good run by Williams as he gives something extra as the final seconds of this first half are ticking off. Zach Arnett celebrated a birthday earlier this week, his first SEC game. Quite the challenge against this focused and fired up LSU team. An LSU squad who says we don't have a problem hitting the road to start SEC play. And our mature quarterback and that dynamic wide receiver able to do their thing. LSU with 310 total yards of offense. framed against Mississippi State's 79, but 52 of it came from one single run of Woody Marks. Just a dominating first half from the Tigers as they were roaring. (24-7) LSU. Katie.
Tess, Coach Kelly, how would you describe just the connection you've seen from Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels in the first half?
Yeah, obviously we're taking advantage of some one-on-one matchups. They got over aggressive on the last play, and then we got them on a double move. But you have to do this. This is an aggressive defense, and they're giving us some one-on-one matchups. We're going to start running the football too if they get into some double zones. And we're just disappointed that we gave up a long run on just a simple crack replace by our corner. We just got to do the little things the right way in the third quarter.
Thank you.
24-7 as we head to the studio for our halftime report with Joey Galloway, Dan Mullen, and the far under-caffeinated Matt Berry. LSU Tigers are roaring here as we welcome you back to ESPN College Football, presented by Zales. 24-7 for the number 14 team in the country with all the talent offensively, and they will get the ball to start this second half with Jaden Daniels having gone 21 of 22 passing in that first half. Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer up in the booth with you. We'll hear from Katie George in just a moment. Boy, did we hear from that LSU defense, though, in shutting down the Mississippi State offense. Stayed on their first 5 drives, 5 punts. They had 16 plays for 7 yards. 7.
LSU was dominating in the trenches up front. They've been the most physical on that side of the ball and controlling Mississippi State's running game. They've been getting after Will Rogers. They've held him to just 5 of 14 so far in this game. Now, they did give up a touchdown on the final drive of the half, but they'll take the field with a sense of urgency as LSU now tries to pad their lead.
Logan Diggs cannot spin free as he's tackled by Jet Johnson. Katie.
Tess, I asked Zach Arnett what he thought of the first half. He laughed. He said, could we play any worse? He told his team in the locker room, we're going to find out what kind of competitors we are. Are we going to make this a game in the fourth quarter, or are we going to get embarrassed again like we did in the first half? Strong words from the head coach.
2nd and 9 as getting it out to Thomas is Jaden Daniels. It'll be 3rd and short there. Zach Arnett challenging his team, and now another challenge in front of him here. 3rd down and 2, and moving ahead for the first down is Logan Diggs.
And it's a cat and mouse game right now, because if you're Mississippi State, you got torched by Malik Neighbors in the first half. So you want to start changing up your safety alignment and start giving extra help on the perimeter. But what that does is it puts less people close to the line of scrimmage to stop the run. So you heard Brian Kelly tell Katie before the end of the half, they're going to get back to running the football and trying to be more physical here.
And Diggs is getting plenty of work, and Diggs is carrying a few defenders with him as he was met that time by Purvis.
It's a nice job by LSU in the offensive line in the zone scheme, working into the second level and climbing to get hats on linebackers. And all of a sudden, runs that might have been 1-2 yards in the first half, because of their physicality, they're hoping those turn into 5-yard gains like what you saw right there.
Emory Jones is back at right tackle, Frazier in at right guard, so the true freshman Lance Hurd not in on this series. 2nd down and 5. Diggs looking for something, finding only a yard as closing that gap was Russell.
So now in a critical 3rd down, Mississippi State has got to be good in their rush lanes with Jaden Daniels, right? They're okay if he has to go east or west, and if you flush him, but you don't want to open anything up in the middle of the field, because if he sees an opening, this is a guy who is going to take off.
So get after him, but have lane integrity. Let's see what they offer up on 3rd down and 4. Freshman tight end Mark Way in motion. Diggs in the backfield with Daniels, who's been red hot accurate And he is again to Brian Thomas. This is a sensational performance by Daniels, as we will check on the flag all the way in the defensive backfield.
There's going to be a little bit of defensive holding there in the back end in coverage.
Holding, defense number 3. That penalty is declined. Results of play as a first down.
We've talked about Logan Diggs and the impact he's having running the football, the transfer from Notre Dame. Watch this block on the linebacker Watson right here. You cannot do this any better in blitz pickup. Pancakes him on the ground, and that gives Jaden Daniels an opportunity to survey the field and throw a completion.
And Buke Watson is one of the best in the SEC, and this is exactly what you just mentioned, Jesse. Daniels and his ability with the ground game, as Marcus Banks, the safety, had to come up from way back to push him out.
It's great up front if you're Mississippi State. You want to twist and stunt, and guys are getting out of their spots. But look, there's a big gap right here. As soon as Daniels sees that, he's taken off. It's exactly what he did in this game a year ago as well.
So 10 yards, another first down for the Tigers. John Emery is stacked up initially by Johnson, and then Watson finishes off the tackle.
Well, it's interesting. I'm watching Mississippi State in coverage, and at this area of the field, they're staying in man-to-man. It seems like they've made the decision that they're going to try to force Jaden Daniels to keep throwing the football, and if Malik Neighbors can get open, then good for them. But they're committed here to stopping this run, and it's an interesting tactic to see how that impacts the game moving forward. Neighbors right now in the slot, bottom of the screen.
Daniels looking that way. Now looking for an option, and he was trying to get it to Emery.
And I think that was a play there, Joe, where they actually had Neighbors open again on the fade in the slot. It's the same play that he scored 2 touchdowns on. Watch him here in the slot. Work to the fade. Man, if Jaden Daniels wants that, I think that's 6.
Matched up with Marcus Banks.
Another safety.
3rd down and 8. Just the second incompletion moments ago for Jaden Daniels. He's 23 of 25.
Man-to-man coverage again. They put a corner this time on Neighbors in the slot.
3rd down and 8. Pressure comes. They pick it up. Ball is tipped and falls harmlessly, but there may have been contact with Marcus Banks coming in defensively against Chris Hilton.
Zach Arnett saying he was just going for the football. He was trying to catch the pick, but there was contact before the ball got there.
There's no foul for pass interference. Result of play is 4th down.
And Zach Arnett made his point, said that's how it timed up. Here's the play.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bang-bang play. Watching it live, I thought there was interference here. You're going to see Banks, he's going to be driving the slant. I thought he got there a little bit early on Chris Hilton. But it's a good break for Mississippi State and just forcing a field goal here. Now it comes up to their offense for Mississippi State. Brian Kelly obviously does not agree with the play call.
Damian Ramos comes on for another field goal attempt. And after the defense was able to make the stop on 3rd down, had a short field goal to open up this game. "41-yard attempt for Ramos. And a good drive and rotation, and in and through. LSU opens up the second half with an 11-play field goal drive, and they push the lead to 20 points. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, All-State will make a contribution to the university's general scholarship fund. We thank All-State for that. Damian Ramos just added to that with the 41-yard field goal, 27-7. Joe Tessitore alongside Jesse Palmer and Katie George here in Starkville, Mississippi. Always a great weekend when you come down here to Starkville. The fans as passionate as anywhere in the SEC, from the land rush on the Junction on Friday afternoon through game day. We got Monday Night Football with 2 games this week. Saints and Panthers are going to get you started on ESPN and ESPN2 at 7:15 Eastern. And then ABC and on the app will be Browns and the Steelers at 8:15. And, of course, you got the full day of college football still to come today with all the games. Tennessee and Florida tonight, your old stomping grounds down there at the Swamp, Jesse.
Yeah, I know everyone's going to be kind of looking at Joe Milton and that Tennessee offense, but their defense is, I think, much improved from a year ago. That's going to be fun. It's important the Gators are able to run the football in that one to have a shot.
Woody Marks, he sparked things before halftime, and now they're feeding him 8 yards, Katie.
Tuss, Jesse, as a linebacker, Brian Kelly says they plan to move Harold Perkins around week to week so he can impact the specific offense they go against. Kelly said it'll be like Where's Waldo each week, and I'm told Perkins is really embracing the ever-changing position. He's enjoying the challenge of that.
He's heard so much about the plan to play inside over the summer. And then last week he was back out in the slot, back outside, 2nd and 3. Rodgers to the outside, well to the outside of Xavier Thomas.
Now, the interesting thing about Perkins being on the field is LSU is now what they are is a 4-3 defense, right? They're playing 4 D linemen, 3 linebackers, which in modern college football, that's like a dinosaur defense. But it works for LSU because of his unique skill set, his speed and his athleticism. And don't get it twisted, Joe. They're not asking him to cover receivers on post routes, right? It's simple. Seek and destroy. Find the ball, get the ball. They're putting him close to the action, and it's looking pretty good today.
He's arguably the most impactful freshman in college football a year ago. 3rd and 3, Woody Marks trying to get to the edge, and he was undercut. He was taken down by Zy Alexander, the transfer from Southeast Louisiana.
If you're Mississippi State, I think, you got to go. They're bringing on their true freshman Malik Ellis at tight end, which generally is an indicator that they are going to run the football. He's essentially an extra offensive lineman that they line up in the tight end position. And remember, in this game last year, Mississippi State got stuffed 3 times on 4th and 1. They have got to find a way to convert this.
This is a 4th and 1 from their own 34-yard line. Marks, he will have it, and he will have more. So a first down for State.
Really nice vision by Marks. This is a zone play that's supposed to go left, but he feels the cutback to the right side. You see right here, he's going left. Everyone's going that way. There's the kick-out block by the true freshman tight end Ellis, and they convert a massive 4th down. Got to say, Joe, this offense coming alive a little bit here these last 2 drives.
Leaning on Woody Marks a little more. Play action now. Rodgers spins out. Looks downfield to the outside back shoulder as he looks to Xavier Thomas. LSU sideline is saying no, he wasn't in. But you see the official coming over and marking the ball as a reception.
Well, there's the first time we've really seen Will Rogers on the same page with his wide receiver, and you just got to rep this in practice. That's a wheel route. They're trying to throw that up over top. I think that's a catch. Good position by Andre Sam. So you go back shoulder, perfect throw, perfect timing. And again, Mississippi State, they're finding that rhythm offensively.
Thomas is a guy that they're back to have. They're so happy to have back at full health. He's explosive. Great in the return game, but they need him at the receiver position to offer something. They're going to take a look at this, but I think he was able to keep that back heel up, Jesse, as he secured the ball.
I think so, too, and it's a good point you make, Joe, because when you watch Mississippi State these first 2 games, as you see this again,
right,
got the ball now, and I think his right foot is already down once he has possession of the football. The toe is inbounds. The left foot's going to be out, but I don't think that doesn't really matter. Is the right foot still down when he has it now?
Yes.
And it looks like it is. That should be a catch. But you're right, Joe. Like you watch film. Mississippi State hasn't really shown the ability for a guy to just line up and run a go route or run a post route and find explosive plays. They've had to kind of scheme those big shots through pump fakes, through double moves. And so getting Xavier Thomas back, a freshman All-American punt returner with tremendous speed, he's the guy that they hope can really take the top off of a defense and give them some big plays in the passing game.
So Thomas, a 21-yard reception for now. They just want to see, did he establish firm control as he was going out of bounds? He did have that 1 foot down, the other one in the air, but is ruled a catch on the field. Reminder, more college football actions coming your way on ESPN Plus tonight. Oklahoma State's in action. Texas Tech is in action. And Auburn you can see as well. Coverage of all 3 games begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can go to ESPNplus.com or download the ESPN app. Alabama's going to be on ABC in the middle of the afternoon. New quarterback there. Told you Tennessee and Florida from the Swamp tonight. Always a classic rivalry.
After video review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Mississippi State.
So first down for Mississippi State. 21-yard reception to Xavier Thomas.
And Joe, I think offensive coordinator Kevin Barbe, he's really kind of finding his own rhythm here. He's calling plays too in these last 2 drives. Getting Marks touches, getting Griffin touches, and that last play, moving the pocket and changing the launch point for Will Rogers so that LSU can't just pin their ears back knowing where he's going to be.
Had to convert the 4th down, just got that big 21-yard reception. Now back to business with Woody Marks as Marks is met after just a gain of 1 yard. Zy Alexander and Harold Perkins in defensively for the Tigers.
Great play by Savion Jones that time. He's taking on 2 pulling players for Mississippi State. At 280 pounds, he's a defensive end, and it's unique because he can hold the point at the edge, right? And that's a big thing in this defense. See him right here on the right side, 1, 2. He's still able to fight that off and allow LSU defenders to get to the football.
Rogers, play action, has to step up as it was closing on him, and he is taken down by Major Burns.
Well, Major Burns, it's one-on-one with the running back Jeffrey Pittman, and that was just all Burns. It was a nice job. You're going to see here, it's coming down on the right side, and you know, you just saw an example of Logan Diggs on the last drive with a great blitz pickup. You really got to bring your feet. You can't duck your head. Not all running backs are great at doing it. It's difficult out in space like that, and that time Sam won.
Remember, LSU is without Greg Brooks, the other starting safety. He's out, not available to play today. And Omar Spates, the outstanding linebacker, the transfer from Oregon State's been dealing with an injury. 3rd and 12, Rogers. As reaching out for that line to gain is Justin Robinson, the big 6'4", 220-pounder. Let's see where they mark this.
Well, that was a great call because you're not necessarily throwing to get to the sticks, right? You're just trying to get some of that yardage back to make this 4th down manageable. They're bringing in their Mike Wright, the backup quarterback, Joe, the transfer from Vanderbilt, who's a guy that you see a lot of quarterback runs when he's on the field.
He's explosive, dynamic player, had over 900 rushing yards at Vandy. They've been putting him in and out of the lineup. He'll line up at receiver. He'll give them some speed options. And now Mike Wright comes into the game on 4th and 1. There he is, big number 14, wiry, fast quarterback. And whistles are going to stop action as a flag comes down.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 3. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
And that just kills things, doesn't it? You got it in a good spot. You know the look you want to give them, the personnel you want to send in, and then the penalty backs you up to what's now a 4th and 6.
And now you got to deal with Harold Perkins off the edge, and that's been a problem for Mississippi State. You go from a very manageable 4th down situation with a running quarterback, and that play looked like it might work, to now you're going to have to hold up against one of the elite pass rushers in the country.
And Will Rogers is back in the game with that. Woody Marks is in the slot, 4th and 6, empty look as they motion Tulu Griffin, their speed burner in the slot. 4th down, Rogers launches deep into coverage and incomplete. He was giving Xavier Thomas a chance. So a turnover on downs. And Mississippi State trailing by 20 at home to LSU.
ESPN College Football, presented by Zales, is brought to you by the Lexus ES, a direct reflection of you.
It's a great little downtown in Starkville, Mississippi. We were crushing some restaurant Tyler last night, some espresso at 929 this morning there.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful day. Now time for the Aflac trivia question. In the last 15 years, how many SEC teams have reached the #1 ranking?
Wow.
Let me tell you what I like about this question. Not just the content, the editorial judgment, but the economy of words.
I
the
like
economy
it too.
of words.
I mean, like, just off the top of your head, Georgia, Florida, Bama, LSU, Auburn, Mississippi State, first year of the college football playoff.
Dak Prescott. It's a great question that was produced, the origin stories from the affluent suburb of Glastonbury, Connecticut with that. Jaden Daniels on first down. And this is what he can do. And look at what he can do with the legs to the outside as Daniels then cuts back, takes a big hit. That was Sean Preston who slammed down Daniels, but not before he went for 23 yards.
Mississippi State lost lane integrity again in the pass rush, and we talked about Daniels and his ability to do this. Now, we talked earlier, too, about his need to protect himself a little bit more. Man, he got tackled just like that against Florida State, too. I know he's put on extra weight, Joe.
Yeah, hey, come on. You can't take those.
No, and on Sundays,
video review
you can't do that either.
Targeting.
Yeah, potential targeting. I mean, listen, you saw The Rock this morning on College Game Day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like The Rock last night against Austin Theory on SmackDown.
Like
I mean, he just put him down.
Setting up the people's elbow.
He was setting up the people. McAfee landed a people's elbow last night. You cannot take those kind of hits if you want to be guiding your team long-term to a college football playoff. Look at this.
I mean, he leaves his feet a lot as a runner, and he's always kind of skipping. And, man, these are heat-seeking missiles for Mississippi State on the back end. And that is just a textbook tackle from Sean Preston. It kind of makes you wonder if the targeting is going to be looking at Preston's tackle leading with the crown of the helmet. I think that's what they're going to be looking at, because he does duck. And it's not just to the head or neck area, but hitting with the crown of your helmet on any part of the body.
That's right.
And it's all part of the game's efforts to keep these players safe.
You know, people misunderstand that all the time when it comes to targeting. It doesn't matter if you use the crown of the helmet to hit somebody's pinky toe.
Yeah.
It's about the crown of the helmet.
That's it.
And that's what they're looking at here. Jaden Daniels is all smiles right now as they review this. And you see the targeting rule. Dangerous hit involving a launch, upward thrust, or severe strike. Those are what we call the indicators, but there are two forms of targeting. Using the crown of the helmet or any forcible contact to the head or neck area of a defenseless player. Well, Katie talked about it earlier. You mentioned it, the gaining 15 pounds of muscle. You think about Jaden Daniels, Katie, his body type alone. When he was in high school, the guy was 5'10", 137 pounds playing varsity high school football.
He needed a doctor's waiver, Tess, to be eligible to play football because he was so little. He said as he's gotten older that the weight has started to stick to him a little more, hence the 15 pounds that he put on. He said it definitely helps when he takes hits, but my gosh, it's like he's looking for the contact as a quarterback.
It's true, Katie. And I mean, we said earlier, too, I mean, this guy started 46 games in college football. It's hard to get through running like that.
After video review, number 7, targeting defense. The 15-yard penalty is at the end of the run. The target is with the crown of the helmet. It'll be first down LSU.
So there goes Sean Preston.
That's a big loss for this defense, too, because playing with 5 DBs, they're obviously a secondary-driven unit that needs to disguise coverages and try to make life difficult on Jaden Daniels. And they're going to miss him now for the rest of this game, the first half of their next one. And with his speed, he is a huge part of this defense, not a guy that they can lose.
Next game is out South Carolina. So a 15-yard penalty with the targeting call. Logan Diggs in the backfield with Jaden Daniels. They've been working the ground game a good bit here in this second half, both with Daniels' legs and working Diggs. And Diggs out of the backfield as he is met at the 19-yard line by Buki Watson.
My old offensive coordinator, Sean Payton on the Giants, used to tell quarterbacks, bore me with completion.
Sure.
And that's basically what Jaden Daniels is doing to us up here right now. The ball is not hitting the ground, people. He's 24 of 27, and you put people to sleep when you make decisions like that. Nothing open downfield. It's touchdowns or it's checkdowns.
Jess, he's close to an all-time LSU record today. He's got to stay on course, but we'll get into that in just a moment. 2nd and 4 as Daniels another completion, but this is gobbled up at the line of scrimmage as Neighbors was taken down by Marcus Banks. But if you look at the day of Jaden Daniels, he's close to setting the record for the highest completion percentage in a game in LSU history. He's just slightly under that mark right now, but he's 25 of 28. 3rd down and 5. The cowbells ring, desperately seeking some hope against the Tigers. Daniels able to get 3s, looking for a block downfield. He's got the first down as he ducks out just before the 10-yard line.
You got to contain Daniels. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when you're trying to build the fence, someone has to have outside contained here. Instead, he loops inside, and that just makes it so easy for Daniels to just roll around, use his speed, and get downfield.
Face mask, defense number 1. The penalty is half the distance to the goal from the end of the run and an automatic first down.
It's a late flag on Marcus Banks. Remember, moments ago, the other starting safety, Sean Preston, was ejected for a targeting call. There's Preston looking on. Handed out a big hit to Jaden Daniels at the end of a long run. 1st and goal from the 5-yard line. Daniels, can he get there? Yes! Touchdown, Jaden Daniels. What a day for the senior quarterback.
It's a great read by Jaden Daniels. They go to their favorite RPO. It's a zone read with a tight end and a flat, and it's basically like a triple option for Jaden Daniels. He's just reading it as he goes. Faking this, got the tight end in the flat, and this ball can go to number 3. Number 5 can keep it, or he can spit it out to 86. It's modern day triple option offense, and Jaden Daniels just runs that to perfection.
Mike likes it. Damian Ramos puts it through. Daniels has 54 yards rushing in that rushing touchdown. 286 yards passing on a nearly flawless day and a couple passing touchdowns. And LSU is just coasting along 34-7. Well, earlier we asked you the Aflac trivia question. We were asking about, number of teams that have been number 1 from the SEC last 15 years. How many SEC teams? You were throwing out a bunch. You remember that Dak Prescott?
I want to say like 6. Yeah, I remember the Dak Prescott team. I was saying, okay, 7.
See, this is what happens when Calhoun raised the question.
Yeah.
Well, last year, when the first
That's right.
CFP rankings came out last year.
That's right.
They were number 1.
And rightfully so.
Tulu Griffin, they could use something from Griffin. He's one of the best in the country in the return game. He gives them a little bit of hope before he is run out at about the 37-yard line.
Well, the defense for LSU really has been dominant in this one, and it's been up front in the trenches, creating problems. Savion Jones here doing a nice job getting pressure on Will Rogers. They've been able to stunt, loop, twist. They've blitzed at times. Harold Perkins coming off the edge. That time, Wingo, 4 sacks in the game. And, Joe, if you take away Woody Marks' long run, really not a lot of yards for Mississippi State in this one.
He had a 52-yard run. He only has 66 yards rushing on the day, but he had one single 52-yard run. So they only have 70 yards of offense beyond that as Seth Davis now comes in, the true freshman at running back. Rogers, that is tipped at the line. And the diving effort by Greg Penn, but he couldn't come up with the interception.
It's big Mason Smith getting his paw up in the air, and he's a guy they need to have healthy and on the field. He missed last year after suffering an ACL tear on the first series of the season, was suspended the first game of the year, but that dude is a force. At 315 yards, he's good against the run. He can also collapse the pocket. He was the #1 rated prospect coming out of the state of Louisiana 2 years ago for a reason. He's the real deal.
Mike Wright is in at quarterback now, the transfer, and they're going to go a little razzle-dazzle to Griffin as they try to reverse it, and Greg Penn says, you will not do that.
Well, Kevin Barbe, the offensive coordinator, has a play sheet, get it to him plays, where no matter what, number 5 is going to touch the football. And you just got to do what you got to do to put it in his hands. It's a better job by LSU's defense, though, of playing with really good eye discipline, beating blocks, and an awesome job by the middle linebacker, Penn, making a play.
Remember, Omar Spates, who was all Pac-12 and then transferred to LSU, out injured today. So Greg Penn getting quality time and doing his job. Here's a 3rd and 9 with Rodgers back in. Has time, but overthrows the intended target, Thomas.
Yeah, Will Rogers has just not looked like his normal self. And I know it's a brand new system offensively, but a lot of throws, Joe, have gotten away from him too. This is just not as accurate as we're used to seeing him. 7 of 20 in this game only. Part of that has been the pressure from LSU, but another part of that is just not being on the same page with his wide receivers and letting throws get away.
Jesse, it's the 5th time that Mississippi State has been 3 and out. And this is their 6th punt. Crimmins drives back Clayton all the way to the 9-yard line. Clayton on the return, and he's able to keep his balance somehow as he works his way to the 24.
Jaden Daniels has had a day, Joe. You've been calling his name a lot in this game for good reason, too. Showing you his poise and his experience. The 5th-year senior early. Nothing open. No need to freak out. Find Diggs as a check down. Here's a great play against the blitz. Finding a completion to Neighbors. When you get the one-on-one matchups with receivers versus safeties, you take those shots, anticipating these deep throws. Getting it out early, air under the ball, making it easy for his guys. Boring us with those completions, Joe. Jaden Daniels has just been lights out in this game. Probably as good as I've seen a quarterback throw it, honestly.
I agree. And listen, it's a long season. People take so much and overreact to week 1. And you see what this offense is capable of as Jackson now shows what he's all about. The true freshman from Liberty Magnet High School right there in Baton Rouge, who's so explosive. A flag is down back at the 34-yard line. Jackson was the #1 running back
during
recruit
the
in the
run,
state.
Holding, offense, number 66, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
Can you believe how deep this running back room is?
No, I mean, there's a lot of dudes. But the question is, who can be the game breaker, right? And for years now, again, they've had big physical guys that can get you 3, 4, 5 yards. But who is the Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Who's the Darius Geis? Who's the Leonard Fournette, the guy that can hit the home run? Last year, Jaden Daniels led this team in rushing. He had more carries than the top 2 running backs combined. I just don't think, Joe, that can happen again this season. I think for this offense to reach its full potential, they need somebody to step up and really be the bell cow in this backfield.
So backed up with the penalty. Daniels looks right, looks left, goes over the middle and throws it just slightly behind Brian Thomas. A rare incompletion on the day for Jaden Daniels.
He's 26 of 30. Joe, it's hard to do that routes against air.
Isn't it?
Like if you just went out on the field with a receiver and you're like, I'm just going to throw you 30 straight balls and just run the route tree, it'd be hard to complete 26 of them without a defense on the field. And look at this list, by the way. Highest completion percentage in a game. There's 2 #1 picks on that list.
2nd and 11. Jackson with a stiff arm into the outside and then bowls over Isaac Smith.
There's a lot to like about Caleb Jackson. 6 feet tall, 225 pounds. He has humongous legs. I'm not going to go Saquon Barkley, but they're very big. This is a tough guy to bring down. And after some really nice runs last week against Grambling State, he's earning more carries in this game. Take a look as he gets out to the outside. It's nice feet right there to bounce it and then punishing people. You're gonna see a lot of DBs in his career make business decisions. You know, the guys that kind of torpedo at his feet? I mean, this guy is a monster.
We had a good conversation with Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator for LSU, the other day. He said he's an absolute bull. He just runs with such powerful pad leverage, but he can take any play the distance. He can break any play, and that's Caleb Jackson, who you sit there and you go through that depth chart, and listen, you got Noah Cain, you got Logan Diggs who's been getting the ball a lot, you got Josh Williams and Emery's back, and now you got this sensational true freshman.
How important that is over the course of a season to be able to keep running backs fresh, right, in a game and just kind of rotate through these guys, wear defenses down. There are not a lot of defenses that want to tackle guys that size for 4 quarters, and LSU has multiple guys that look like that.
It's Trevion Williams, the defensive lineman for Mississippi State, who has been down on the turf with the medical staff looking at his leg at the end of that play. So we hope the best for Williams, who's a local Mississippi product, big defensive lineman, as it appears they're going to help him up. Always a better sign when a player can walk off. And let's remind you what's coming up next Saturday on the SEC Network. At noon, it'll be Kentucky and Vandy. Tennessee, of course, got Florida. Then they come back next week at 4 o'clock against UTSA. Charlotte and Florida will be at 7 o'clock. And this Mississippi State team will be up against South Carolina in prime time. SEC Saturday night next week at 7:30 p.m. Always a great day from start to finish on the SEC Network, including watching SEC Final to wrap up the day with the guys. First down, Daniels. He pumps, he runs, and this time smart to slide as Jet Johnson was coming straight at him.
Joe, his decision-making just helps this offense stay on schedule. You see him kind of limping a little bit here as he gets up, but just not forcing the football into places it shouldn't go. You know, 3 of the 4 years, Jaden Daniels has been a starting quarterback. He's thrown 3 or less interceptions on the season. He just doesn't do things to put his offense in a bad position.
Last year he ran the ball so well, balanced attack with the passing game. Of course, had the 2-point conversion game-winning pass against Alabama, broke out against Florida. That performance against Florida was the game where we said, oh, this is different now. Had 6 total touchdowns down there.
Well, I think a lot of people in the locker room, too, started looking at him as, okay, this is a dude. This is a guy that we can kind of rally behind. And when you make plays like he did late in the Alabama game to win, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people predicted LSU would be in the college football playoff this season. They've got a lot of talent back. They're a 10-win team from a year ago, but I think number 5 at quarterback might be the biggest one.
Final seconds here of the third quarter with LSU in complete control. 3rd and 3. Quickly to the outside, and another first down on target to Malik Neighbors. Another catch for Neighbors as he has 12 catches for Neighbors. 14th ranked LSU, looking exactly the part of what everybody thought they would be going into the season. 34-7 on the road in Starkville. LSU had to make a 1-hour bus drive to get here early this morning. So halfway, they stopped at a car dealership. Have a little walkthrough, stretch the legs, make sure they're on fire early. Oh, Jesse, they were.
Yeah, was that car dealership an exotic car dealership? Because they're playing like a very fast and shiny and expensive foreign vehicle that ends with a vowel.
Are they ever? And Daniels keeps on having his kind of day to Caleb Jackson.
Shiny Chevys, Jesse, I think is what it was. I actually just asked Jacoby and Gilroy what he thought of stopping at the car dealership over here on the sidelines. He said, I thought it was huge. A lot of guys probably would have slept the whole ride in and gotten sluggish off the bus. He said, stopping, stretching, going through a little bit of a walkthrough. He said, kept us from doing that. He said there was a sense of urgency that we needed coming into Starkville.
Yeah, Katie, maybe a little shopping with all the NIL money being thrown around now.
Jackson, fresh legs in there, but he's met by Jet Johnson. Johnson with the tackle. You know, we talked to Brian Kelly about this scenario. BK has seen everything. He's coached for 34 years at every level of the sport. He's like, listen, I had days where I flew in the day of a game and played a game. I've had days where his team had to take a 9-hour bus drive to play a game. So he knows how to handle this.
At all different types of levels, and you got to be impressed with just their readiness, I think, mentally, to come play this game in a tough environment. I think you've learned a lot about the mental toughness of LSU.
And also think about the pressure on LSU after week 1. A team that's thought about as a college football playoff contender. 3rd down and 2, Jaden Daniels, he will spin for the first down. So what happens, you play a game like that and you lose week 1, which happened last year. You still made a run to the SEC West. But now you're talking about a different beast, an LSU team that's a national title contender, which means every week following that is complete pressure.
Yeah, sometimes you're just a victim of your own success. And after 2 years ago finishing last in the SEC West Division, Brian Kelly turns them around to 10 wins. You beat 2 top 10 teams in Alabama and Ole Miss. You win the division, and now the expectations are huge. Everybody in Baton Rouge, LSU fans all over the country, expect this team to dominate week in, week out.
Daniels checks at the line, widens out the receivers. And then quick drop back and gets it to Thomas, who goes ahead for 8.5 yards. Late flag comes in as Ellington made the tackle on Thomas.
Yeah, somebody's helmet came off, and I just saw a white helmet just rolling back towards the referee.
I think that was Deontay Anderson.
After the play, personal foul, face mask, offense number 66. The 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the run. It will become 2nd down.
That's big Will Campbell, the starting left tackle, and he kind of got into it with Anderson, as you mentioned, Joe, and then after the play, when his helmet came off, he just turned around and Kyle Turley style just like tossed the helmet.
Jess, you see that number 7 up near his left shoulder pad?
Yeah.
Of course, he turns right as soon as I say it.
Right?
Yeah, it really is. And listen, it's on an offensive lineman. On a 6'6", 325-pound offensive lineman is that number 7 patch. Of course, you know LSU well through the years. You know traditionally there's the famous number 7 jersey. Well, they wanted to give it to Will Campbell this year. But he can't wear number 7 because he's an offensive tackle, so he's wearing the patch. Daniels downfield and right into the arms of Malik Neighbors.
It's another double move. Mike Denbrock has gone back to pass plays that have been working. We saw 2 fades against safeties. That time, the double move again against DeCam Robinson. You're selling curl. You're trying to get Robinson to throttle down, and he just relaxed. When Robinson turned around, he did not know. Sorry, Richardson, we turned around, did not know where Neighbors was. How about Mike Denbrock? If it works once, go back to the well, and he's done that a few times here in the vertical passing game.
45-yard reception. 1st and goal. Daniels pulls, gets free, and spins in again. Jaden Daniels with another rushing touchdown. His 2nd of the day, his 4th in total.
Man, he just stiff-armed the true freshman Isaac Smith at safety. He was running up, trying to help on that zone read. Physical run by Jaden Daniels. He's going to need the ice tub after this one, Joe. His arm's going to need ice, but his body, too. He's made plays all over the place.
Look at that guy right there. Malik Neighbors. He set it up. Had another big reception. He has been dominating every single matchup that Matt Brock and Zach Arnett, you saw the defensive minds there, have put forth on him. Flag is down. Neighbors with 13 targets today and 13 catches. 238 yards. 238 yards in a second half where they've been running the ball. And then the man who's been running the ball so well, Jaden Daniels, brought it in. But this was the catch that set it up. Pylon came right into the basket. Beautiful throw by Jaden Daniels. And then Daniels with his 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. The Tigers are roaring and roaring more.
Watching a presentation of the Southeastern Conference on ESPN. A new era of the SEC begins in 2024 on ESPN and ABC.
Yep, that'll be next year when there are 16 teams playing in the league. ESPN College Football is presented by Zales. You saw the back of Malik Neighbors. Mississippi State defensive backs have been seeing the back of Malik Neighbors as he runs past them for 239 yards and 2 touchdowns today. Joe, Jesse, and Katie with you here in Starkville, 41-7. Let's go to the studio with Matt.
Gentlemen, on Saturdays like today, beware of the upset. We've got one brewing in Columbia, Missouri. This is Brady Cook to Luther Burden. Points aplenty. Right now, Tigers on top of Kansas State, 27-24.
Luther Burden with 112 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Of course, Luther Burden was one of the biggest recruits in the country.
You got to remember, though, K-State, they've got Will Howard at quarterback, and I know a lot of people talking about Texas now in the Big 12 after beating Bama, and Oklahoma's looked a lot better this year, but K-State's the defending conference champion, and Will Howard has been clutch.
Will Rogers only 7 completions on the day as he quickly gets it to Griffin, and Griffin can't find anything. And when you talk to the Mississippi State coaches this week, they said Griffin and Marks have to have explosive plays. There's only been one by Marks.
But it's hard, Joe, when you can't drop back and throw a ball 40 yards downfield to make a play the way that Malik Neighbors has been doing all game long, right? And Mississippi State just doesn't yet seem to have a guy that can stretch the field and take the top off of defense.
Oh. Ball is bobbled, and down he goes again. As Rogers has been put down 5 times. That was Parrish Shand who was there on the play. Parrish Shand, who's originally from Toronto,
That's
Jesse.
right.
He was a member of Team Canada's U16 basketball team that went up against future NBA players. Then he went to boarding school in Connecticut at Loomis Chaffee before starting his career at Arizona. But he is a Toronto basketball player.
I was going to say that the 6 is generally known as a hotbed for basketball.
I'm sorry, the what?
6. OVO. Joe, you're not
Rogers.
an OVO.
Downfield, gets it complete to Thomas, who takes a big hit at the end of that. But 3rd and 16, and they're able to move the chains. Andre Sam brought him down.
It's an incredible throw by Will Rogers. This is firm with an arc, over top of the defender, and the anticipation, and then an amazing catch by Thomas on the back end, taking a huge hit by Sam. That's the anticipation and timing that we're used to seeing from Will Rogers for years in the air raid.
Rogers with time, and that ball could have been complete as Sam was closing hard again on Freddie Roberson.
And I think that time, unlike the previous throw, Will Rogers just held on to the ball a little bit too long. That deep crossing route was opening, and that's one that Will Rogers has to get rid of right now before Sam can play downhill and break that up. Phenomenal job at safety, but that's a play that they didn't have great timing from the quarterback.
Such a challenge for Will Rogers with a new offense. Everybody around the program says, listen, he loves the challenge because he's a football studying nut. So whether it's the formation varieties, the new run schemes, the pass protection, he's been eating it up. It just comes with certain difficulties when you play elite talent like this.
Yeah, and remember, he was playing in an air raid offense since high school. So this is a whole new thing for him. It's new for Zach Arnett. It's new for these receivers, the running backs. What about the offensive line, Jim?
Oh, I think that's the biggest
I think so,
challenge.
too, from a position group. Now you're playing with tighter splits. You're in a 3-point stance. You've got so many more run plays and pass protections to know and memorize. And you're getting used to D-line playing you different. For years, these guys were up the field 90% of the time expecting pass in the air raid. Now they're playing the gap.
Pittman with the carry as he spins ahead. It was Jeffrey Pittman who last week in overtime against Arizona had the go-ahead and game-winning touchdown. It was a 29-yard screen pass for a score.
So, Joe, it's not just Will Rogers. It's everybody in this offense trying to get on the same page as quickly as they can. And at this point of the game, down 41-7, I think if you're Kevin Barbe, the offensive coordinator, you're just coaching him up, coaching him hard, trying to get these guys reps. It's a very long season. They're going to make strides. They're going to take steps, and hopefully next week in their next game against South Carolina, put on a better performance.
Too much of number 83 out there. Keelan Crimmins has punted 7 times. Clayton secures it near the 15-yard line. Under 10 minutes to play. And as LSU's in complete control, I'd expect Mr. Nussmeier to be playing quarterback when we come back.
I spent 3 years under what, in my opinion, is a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. My beliefs are the exact same as Coach Leach, all right, about what it is that goes into a winning football team. It's simply put, being the most excited, passionate team who lines up on a field, excited to play the game. All right, and that's kind of been Mississippi State's identity forever. Right? So I hope it's a continuation of that identity.
Zach Arnett, who held the program together in the weeks following the shocking, tragic loss of Coach Mike Leach. Bracky Brett was the gentleman who was the interim AD at the time, and he talked about that if they didn't hire Arnett from within and with the trust of the players, thinks it would have set the program back a few years. Garrett Nussmeier in at quarterback now for LSU. Caleb Jackson in the backfield with him. Nussmeier's going to pass it right away as they get it to Brian Thomas. Katie.
You know, Tess, Brian Kelly told his receivers and O-line in between series, if they're going to keep blitzing us, we're going to keep throwing it and winning one-on-one matchups. So no let up over here from LSU.
I love that, Katie, and I love that mindset by Brian Kelly, too. You got your backup quarterback in the game. You still got some of your starters on the offensive line and at wide receiver. Let him go run the offense. If something were to happen down the stretch, something were to happen to Jaden Daniels, you need Nussmeier's up and running and ready to go. And so give him the keys to the car. I like that.
Nussmeier's very talented. Led LSU to 3 straight touchdown drives last week in backup duty. Throws the out to the far side looking for Hilton. His father is Doug Nussmeier, the former play caller at Washington and Bama and Michigan, Florida, and quarterback coach with the Cowboys. He was a great college quarterback at Idaho.
Justin Herbert now, right?
Yes.
Yep. Chargers.
Garrett's mom is a Louisiana native, even though he played his high school ball at Marcus High in Texas. 3rd down and 3. Third down and 3. Nussmeier. That is incomplete as he was trying to get it to Pimpton. Matt?
All right, Tess, Boston College is still very much in this game. Lawrence Toafili coughed it up for Florida State. Kyrie Johnson scoop and score. They didn't get the 2-point conversion in 31-22.
You know, we mentioned it earlier, but funny things happen on that red bandana day up in Chestnut Hill where they play with the spirit and honor of Wells Crowther, the hero of 9/11, and they wear the red bandana uniforms. They've pulled major upsets through the years, and that is a BC team that is struggling mightily. But on a day like today, they play so inspired. First LSU 3 and out, and it comes with a 41-7 score and 8.5 minutes to play. We'll take a short break and be right back to Starkville.
ESPN College Football is presented by Zales, only at Zales, the Diamond Store.
A couple big men on campus back there in Baton Rouge tonight, Jesse. Malik Neighbors and Jaden Daniels. Daniels with 4 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 2 passing. Neighbors with 239 receiving yards on 13 catches.
That duo is going to give defensive coordinators in this conference a lot of headaches, game planning for the rest of the year.
Woody Marks with the run. Earlier today, Woody Marks, a nice effort there. He set the record in school history for most receptions all time. Still so much SEC action to come your way. Mentioned earlier that Alabama is going to be playing a road game, a non-conference road game for Alabama on the Gulf Coast. They're down there in South Florida. And a new quarterback for Bama as well.
And Tyler Buckner getting the start, someone who's familiar with Tommy Rees's system. Of course, both came over from Notre Dame this offseason.
Speaking of new quarterbacks, Mike Wright as he gives to Tulu Griffin, who turns the corner and shows you the speed. One of the best return men in all of college football, and a shifty, speedy slot receiver as well.
You know, I think it's going to be important for Mississippi State moving forward. Whatever they do is they've got to have other receivers step up. And you've seen Xavion Thomas make some plays today in this game. But Will Rogers needs places to go with the football and guys he can trust. Can't just be a running back in the backfield or bubbles and screens out to Griffin. Someone on the outside has got to establish themselves as a weapon in this offense.
Rogers with a lot of time going to take a shot, and it is incomplete as he was looking for Tulu.
I don't know if Tulu was sprinting full speed or if he thought he was going to get the ball on this play. He's running a deep cross, and it just kind of seemed like he was jogging a little bit on the back end. He's going to be coming from the right side. You see number 5 there. It doesn't seem like he's running that hard. It seemed like Will Rogers was really intent on that being his primary target. It's just another example, Joe, just not being on the same page in the passing game.
Seth Davis out of the backfield, gets it in stride, and scoots ahead for a first down for State. Whit Weeks was able to push him out. One of the Weeks brothers, 2 Weeks brothers at linebacker for LSU.
Yeah, I like Seth Davis, too. I think he's a guy that can also be more involved in the game plan. He's only 5'7", he's 185 pounds, a true freshman, but he's so quick and shifty. He's kind of a change of pace back for Mississippi State, a guy that Florida and Ole Miss both wanted coming out of high school, and Zach Arnett got him.
Yeah, Zach says, reminds him of Deuce Vaughn a bit with his style. Incomplete as he's trying to find the aforementioned Davis inside the 10-yard line.
Oh, right on cue, Joe.
That's right.
Because that's what we used to see Deuce Vaughn do a lot, right? Come out of the backfield and run these seams. This playbook is going to continue to open up, but Kevin Barbay, he is handcuffed right now because his players only know so much, and there's just so much new terminology. Just getting guys lined up and getting the play communicated right now is not a gimme. So as the season goes on, you'll start to see this offense, I think, flourish and blossom, and you'll see some new names and faces making more plays.
There's Pittman as he gets the carry. Under 7 minutes to go, and day one of SEC play for these two schools. And listen, LSU went through this last year. The opening heavyweight clash with Florida State. Grab the L, and then you start hitting your stride. You play in the SEC West, and you see where the year takes them. It took them to an SEC championship game.
And this was really important for them today, too, to kind of turn the page. And not to say they didn't do that last week against Grambling State, but this was their first real test since that loss against Florida State, and they really have responded here in a tough environment.
3rd down and 4. Mike Wright, the other quarterback. You can put Mike Wright anywhere on the field, and he can get the job done.
It's a cool thing that Barbay does sometimes. He puts both quarterbacks on the field at the same time, and you get a little bit of razzle-dazzle with the running quarterback himself. So there's some trickeration and something that defensive coordinators in the future now are going to have to see on this film, and they'll have to prepare for down the road.
Kevin Barbay, the new offensive coordinator. So they didn't even know Zach Arnett. Phone rings. Next thing you know, he's got this big SEC play calling job. Leaves App State behind. Seth Davis as he works his way inside the 10-yard line.
I got to say, too, Joe, I do give Zach Arnett a lot of credit.
I do, too.
Because he's doing this thing his way.
Yep.
It would have been easy to sort of stick with the air raid offense, especially when you got Will Rogers coming back. He wants to be a physical offense. He wants to run the football, so he brings in Kevin Barbay to do that. I think Zach Arnett understands, look, I'm 36 years old. I've got a golden opportunity. Been giving a head coaching job at an SEC program. I'm doing things on my own terms. You got to have that conviction.
Rogers on 2nd down goes underneath, and tackled right away was Tulu Griffin. Mike Wright back in at quarterback. Third down. Can get a first down at the 1-yard line. Here's Wright. And going right into the end zone is Antonio Harmon.
This is kind of a
4-yard touchdown for Harmon.
Yeah, sorry, Joe. This is kind of a similar play to what LSU did earlier. It's essentially triple option football. You're going to have this. Quarterback keeps it here, or you get the tight end this way. And the ball can be in 3 different places at virtually almost the same time. It's a really good decision, and you see the speed there. Nice job by Wright. 6'4" in those long strides, getting outside, contained for an easy pitch and catch to Harmon for a touchdown.
So the other quarterback, the transfer from Vandy, comes in, and his lone pass goes for a touchdown. I'm going to tell you what Brian Kelly had to say about the legendary coach Mike Leach when we return. What do you say we take a look at the college football rankings and the updated scores brought to you by Allstate, Jess?
Yeah, remember Georgia, South Carolina? That used to be a good one back in the Spurrier era. But, you know, not a lot of games that jump out at you. But this is always the game as fans of college football. You go sleepwalking, as we're seeing today with Florida State on the road and a tough one with Boston College in their hands full. Just never know, Joe, in college football.
It's that time of the year, start getting into conference play, and the schedules move on, and, you know, coaches that know each other very well, players that get up for these games, as LSU did clearly at Mississippi State. They got Arkansas, they got Ole Miss. It's that time of the year where you start turning that corner, things heat up. Can you believe week 4 next week already?
I know, it's amazing.
And then it's Golden Bachelor time for everybody.
Oh, that's right. Get Gary ready.
Gary is so
Locked
ready.
and loaded.
Now a quick word from Cheez-It.
I'm RG3Z. See you next time. All right, hey, who changed my name to RG3Z?
Me? It's a great combo. Like college football and Cheez-It, you like?
You cheddar believe it.
And how will college football fans feel? They're gonna be feeling the cheesiest!
Woo!
117th meeting between LSU and Mississippi State. LSU's played State more than any SEC opponent. As Garrett Nussmeier is in for Brian Kelly's team, playing quarterback. Jaden Daniels had a record-setting day today. We'll talk about that and give you some historical perspective in a moment. And as Noah Kane takes the carry. And speaking of perspective, we were able to have a conversation with Brian Kelly this week about Coach Mike Leach. Of course, his memory forever thought through here at Mississippi State, the shocking loss last December. I thought it was very interesting what BK said about Coach Leach. Everybody has something to say when it comes to the personality or the scheme. But he said, how about the fact that he allowed for so many more players to actually play the sport of football? Linemen that otherwise wouldn't have fit the mold of what we knew offensive linemen to be recruited to. The slot receivers, the running backs who were in space and receiving running backs. There are thousands of players who wouldn't have had an opportunity to play at this level if it wasn't for Mike Leach and the offense he created.
It's a really good point, Joe. I mean, it's not often you can call somebody a true innovator in a sport, and Mike Leach was certainly that for college football.
Kane takes the carry. In fact, I mean, BK went so far as to say he's the most transformational mind in football of his generation. Wow. And think about 34 years of coaching. It says Mike Leach, undoubtedly the most transformational mind in the sport. Final 3 minutes here in Starkville. Listen, we know LSU's got a ton of talent. We know what they bring to the field. But when you come on the road in this conference with an early kick and you perform that well right from the start, it's a big accomplishment.
It's important, Joe. And winning this game, not as much to do with the national championship picture of the college football playoff, but it's just getting the confidence and the mojo going. Because when you take a look at their schedule and what they have coming up, I mean, they've got some wars week in, week out. I mean, you can't just start, you know, and everyone wants to circle the Alabama game at the start of the year and just point to that as the big one, and it normally is in the season. But, you know, rebounding from that loss week 1 against Florida State, coming here, getting a big win in Starkville is huge. Because Arkansas is going to be a war, it always is. At Ole Miss is going to be tough. And then there's a stretch at Missouri, Auburn, Army. They're going to be expected to win. You get a bye week right here, and then you're potentially 7-1 going into that game on the road against a team that, of course, you beat last year. But, of course, also looks very mortal right now after what we saw against Texas last week. I mean, you keep winning these games, you get through that stretch in the next 2 weeks, all of a sudden everything's still on the table.
Remind me of that Bama game. You said you beat Bama last year. Remember, Mason Taylor didn't play today, the tight end who had the game-winning 2-point conversion in overtime in that game. Hey, tonight on ESPN, Jess, it's Tennessee and Florida. You know all about that rivalry. That's 7 o'clock. And then it is Coach Prime. Colorado State and number 18, Colorado. And forget the football side of things. You and I have talked about this all week. Forget the sports side of things. How about the mainstream, even casual sports fans, or just pop culture America that cannot get enough of Deion Sanders as a head coach right now?
It's must-watch television. Doesn't matter whether you're a Buffaloes fan or even if you like college football. People want to see what Coach Prime and Colorado are going to do next. And I know there's a lot of talking going on over there in Boulder.
Offense, number 79. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
But on the field so far through 2 games, they're backing it up. They really are. I mean, I'd love watching Colorado play because I just want to see how many more ways they can use Travis Hunter.
Right.
Like, what does he have, over 200 snaps now in 2 games? I mean, how sustainable is that, Joe?
But Coach Prime made a comment. He said, listen, I'll let you do that as long as you're dominating one side, which he is. He's dominating cornerback, so he's letting him do that.
Well, if anybody knows what it's like to go both ways in football, it's obviously Coach Prime. He knows how to handle it and manage it. But that's a big storyline. It's certainly fun to watch.
What a day for Jaden Daniels, as Nussmeier's just going to clean things up. And we told you he started the game so red hot and never let off. Jaden Daniels finished 30 of 34. So perspective on that, Jesse. When it comes to a minimum of 25 pass attempts, that is number 1 all-time in school history. 88.2 completion percentage with a minimum of 25 attempts. That's the best in the grand history of LSU football.
Well, that's a statement with respect to his Heisman hopes coming into this year. Everybody was talking about him as one of those front runners. He leads the SEC in total offense. Monster, historic day today, and a guy that certainly we'll be keeping our eye on this season with the LSU Tigers, Joe. He's the key to their hopes of competing for a national championship.
And you add in the fact that he ran the ball 15 times for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a nearly flawless day from Jaden Daniels. As good as it gets playing the position. And this team, they suffered the week 1 loss, but here they are, completely primed for SEC play, Katie.
Thanks, Tess. BK, that was as clinical as you could ask for on offense. What'd you think of the efficiency you saw today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a difficult defense to play against. I thought our guys really handled themselves with great poise in a very difficult environment early on to play in. You know, obviously, the thing is, you know, getting Jaden to throw the ball down the field was the big emphasis this year. And I thought he did a great job hooking up with Malik Neighbors. And then it allows you to do so many other things. Run the ball efficiently. The medium passing game is then available to you. And they've been really good. They scored on 10 of 11 possessions last week. And then this week, again, they were very efficient. And we played really good defense. And when you're playing on the road in the SEC, you have to come with a competitive edge that obviously we didn't have in our opener, and these guys have learned that. There's a lot of young players that are figuring out how to play, and proud of the way they played today.
Congratulations on the win. Enjoy.
Appreciate it, Kate.
Daniels, 361 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, the 2 rushing touchdowns. The other big story of the day, Malik Neighbors, 13 catches, 239 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. A big day out of LSU as they are looking to get back to the SEC championship game. 41-14 is our final score. Coming up next, college football continues with Minnesota against UNC. For Katie and Jesse, I'm Joe Tessitore. Enjoy the rest of your day, including the magnificent hosting of one Matt Berry in the College Football Scoreboard studio.
Joe